welcome to Fantasy Bout Hour, the channel dedicated to bringing you fantasy matchups on a regular basis. If there's a fight you want me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I promise to honor your request. Hello once again, fellow boxing fans and boxing family, and welcome back to another prediction video. I thank you for tuning in once again. But before I get into the content, if you would please share, like, hit the bell notification, and as I always say, if you're watching, you might as well subscribe. It's just the press of a button. Please help me out. That would show great support. I really appreciate it. And one more thing before I get into the content. My schedule has freed up a little bit, so you will see more videos coming your way on a more frequent basis. You all have given me more than enough requests to keep me busy, and these are some great fights. And so I'm really going to make it a priority and to cover those fights. And I would like to do more videos on camera, so you'll see more of those. I've been going so much that this is the best way to get more content out. So I thank you for your support. I thank you for your patience. And now let's get into this fight request that's coming from KCKC7906. I thank you for your request and for participating in this channel. Now, this is a fantasy fight I've never heard before, but it's a very interesting one. And that is Floyd Money Mayweather against Gervonta Tank Davis. And I would just say that think of this fight at any common weight. I don't think it would make a huge difference. Now, I will admit that Floyd Mayweather is the easy answer here, but I like to delve a little bit because there are several nuances to the sport. We know that styles makes fights, so I believe that we have to weigh the strength and the weaknesses of each fighter to make a complete analysis. And one thing we have to consider is that early on in Floyd's career, he seemed to struggle a little bit with southpaws. And Zab Judah and DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley immediately comes to mind. Now, even though Floyd made the adjustments and beat both of those fighters, the fact remains that they were able to have some success against Floyd. And as great as Floyd was, those were just styles that troubled him. But later on in his career, he became better against southpaws. But Floyd's greatest strength, in my opinion, is being able to adjust to what his opponents are doing and to figure his opponents out. And once he downloads the data, he picks his opponents apart. Now, as far as Tank Davis is concerned, Little Tyson, as some people call him, he lives up to his name, Tank. He has devastating power, excellent timing, he has a good jab, and he just throws everything with brute power and force. So for me, what makes him competitive against Floyd in this fight is his timing, especially from the southpaw stance. But Floyd does have the height advantage, which can make that overhand right or that lead right he likes to throw a little more dangerous, especially punching down at Tank. But believe it or not, Tank has the reach advantage, which can make that jab a factor. Some things that both fighters have in common is that they both can fight off the back foot as well as coming forward. They both have great side-to-side movement. Both are excellent counterpunchers. Both have great timing, and both have tremendous accuracy. But once you throw a punch at Tank Davis, you can't leave it out there too long because that counter shot is coming. And unfortunately, I don't see Floyd being able to use his pull counter as much because it's not as effective against southpaws as it is against fellow right-handers. But one huge disadvantage for Tank is sometimes Tank likes to play the waiting game because of his devastating power, and that will really work against him when he's fighting someone like Floyd Mayweather. Because Floyd likes to pile up points with his pot shots, and then he uses the jab to set up bigger shots. And once he starts timing you with that lead right hand, it's pretty much downhill from there. But another thing that comes to mind And please don't get mad at me for saying this, but Tank Davis reminds me a lot of Victor Ortiz, being a power-hitting, pressure-fighting southpaw. And I think that's a legitimate comparison. But I do feel that Tank Davis would have more mental toughness than Victor Ortiz, of course. But the styles are similar. But something I meant to mention a little earlier in this video is that Tank Davis would definitely be fighting the pretty boy Floyd version of Mayweather. And there's plenty of debates as to which version of Floyd was better. Now, for me, Money was better than Pretty Boy because Money was more defensive and calculating, which made him more dangerous, in my opinion. Now, I know that most fans loves the explosiveness, the quickness, the youth, the power, and the fact that Pretty Boy Floyd threw more punches. But I do feel that version of Floyd gives Tank more countering opportunities. And in his younger years, he was very susceptible to the straight left hand. And of course, Tank has an excellent straight left. And any fighter that fights Tank would have to be leery of that counter uppercut, which he stopped Leo Santa Cruz with. That was a nasty shot. But really, that's a bad comparison because Leo Santa Cruz is no Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather is probably the most skilled fighter I've ever seen get in the ring, which in my opinion makes him the best ever. Now, I realize that this is debatable, but that's just my take on it. But I really haven't talked about speed a lot during this video. And I think that we can look at speed to really narrow down who has the true advantages in this fight. And we all know that Floyd would have the speed advantage over Tank. But because of Tank's power, Floyd would really need to be tentative in the first 2 or 3 rounds. Because for all of his skills and talents, Tank can hit. And it would be wise for Floyd to not take unnecessary risks. But at the end of the day, Floyd is the better overall fighter. And as I mentioned earlier, sometimes Tank looks for the big shot, and Tank can be outworked. He was getting outworked by Raleigh. Raleigh is one of those fighters everyone loves to hate, but he was getting outworked until he landed the big shot, until he caught Raleigh. But Floyd is what I call a full fight fighter. Sure, he may give up the first 2 rounds, but Floyd is normally active and busy throughout the whole fight. And the stamina and conditioning of Floyd is always great. But let's talk about reflexes. Floyd Mayweather had those cat-like reflexes to go along with his speed. And so that may be something that gives Tank a little trouble. Now, I know I covered a lot of things in this video, and we all know that Floyd is a better overall fighter once again. But I don't see Floyd knocking Tank out or stopping him for some reason, because Tank is a dangerous fighter. But I do see Floyd controlling the pace, controlling the distance, using the whole ring, using ring generalship, and outclassing Tank Davis, beating him to the punch and frustrating him. Now, Tank will give Floyd Money Mayweather a couple of scary moments. But as usual, Floyd Money Mayweather will make the adjustments and cruise to a decision. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know what you think. I'll see you soon.